Welcome into Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Today's show is presented by Aura, the all-in-one digital safety company. For more, you can sign up for their free 14-day trial now at aura.com/chatsports. We'll tell you about what they do coming up later in the show. Today, we are focusing on ESPN's surprise cut candidates for the Seahawks. I'm going to give you 4 names that the Seahawks are going to move on from, according to ESPN, and also one name that they will hold on to that might shock you as well. We'll get to those in just a moment, but before we do, we want to make sure that you are subscribed to Seahawks Today, and I'm going to do something on tomorrow's show that if you are subscribed and you have those notifications on, about 10 of you I'm going to give a shout-out to at the beginning of tomorrow's show. So you got to be subscribed. You got to have those notifications on. And if you do those things, you very well might make it on tomorrow's show. Well, let's go ahead and get started with the surprise cut candidates, beginning with running back Chris Carson. Now, you may be saying to yourself, with the circumstances, it probably would not be shocking to see Chris Carson ultimately get cut. But I think when you look at the names of players that would be cut, this is by far the biggest name of the 4 that we're going to mention here. Now, with Chris Carson in his situation in regards to getting cut here, I think that we're all surprised that it got to this point. He was recovering from a neck injury, and he's played for the Seahawks since 2017. Been a very productive player for Seattle, but he's never played in every game in a single season. Durability has been an issue for Chris Carson in that stretch. And here's what Brady Henderson had to say about the situation for the Seahawks at that running back position. Between the nature of his injury and what Carroll has said about it, Carson's status is sounding more doubtful than questionable. For now, Penny is in the driver's seat to be the primary back after finishing last season on a tear and returning on a 1-year deal. But he has had a long injury history and a second-round pick in Walker vying for a share of the early down work. Homer and Dallas are virtual locks because of what they provide on special teams and in change of pace backfield roles. So you can see there when it comes to Chris Carson that this is about just the circumstances that it presents itself here. We know that Chris Carson is a very good running back, that he's had a solid career in Seattle, but that's not what this is about. This is about the way things have unfolded with his injury. None of us thought this was going to be as bad as it was for Chris Carson, but ultimately that's the hand he was dealt. It's a sad story, but it is what it is. So with that, you see Penny and Walker obviously make the team, with Travis Homer and DJ Dallas being the other 2 running backs that also make the roster, putting the Seahawks at 4 running backs. So you tell me, will the Seahawks cut Chris Carson? Is that going to happen? This is our pinned comment today. You're about to get an ad break. Take advantage of it. While the ads play, get your votes in. Let me know one way or the other. Type Y for yes. Type in for no if Chris Carson will ultimately be cut. Let me know. Y for yes, in for no if the Seahawks will move on from Chris Carson. Number 2 on our countdown today is wide receiver Marquise Goodwin. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, Tyler, didn't he just sign with the Seahawks not too long ago? Yes. Yes, he did sign with Seattle not too long ago. In fact, that was all the way back on May 23rd that he signed with the Seahawks, previously playing for the Chicago Bears, the San Francisco 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Buffalo Bills. Now, he hasn't played a full season since 2017 when he was with the San Francisco 49ers. So, with that said, with Marquise Goodwin, this is somebody that is been very talented. You know, he has shown some signs, some potential over the years, but the Seahawks are so good at receiver with what they've done with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, obviously, and who they found late in the draft with Bo Melton and company. I think that Marquise Goodwin, at the end of his career here, finds himself on the way out. And that's not a knock on Goodwin. This is just a sign of the strength that the Seahawks have at the receiver position. Here's more from what Henderson had to say here. Metcalf surprisingly skipped mandatory minicamp in an apparent statement about his unsettled contract situation. The Seahawks are still optimistic about extending him, but it doesn't seem like a slam dunk given how costly the receiver market has become. If they do get a deal done, then the top four of Metcalf, Lockett, Swain, and Eskridge are set. Veteran Marquise Goodwin is among the players vying for one of the final spots, and ultimately Goodwin gets cut there. So the wide receivers who make it, as mentioned, Metcalf, Lockett, Swain, and Eskridge, Penny Hart, and Bo Melton fill those other two spots of being the 6 wide receivers who make the active roster for the Seahawks on that front. Today's show is presented by Aura, the all-in-one digital safety company. And we got a great deal for Seahawks Today viewers. Just for you, you can start a free 14-day trial now at aura.com/chatsports. And you may be asking yourself, what does Aura do? Well, they're going to protect you and your loved ones when it comes to digital security or your credit cards. They have everything all in one place for you. So go ahead and sign up for Aura right now, and you are going to be taken care of. They're going to protect you. You know, I had a situation a few years ago. I was with one of the big box stores doing some shopping and got my card compromised. And I wondered, oh no, what am I going to do? Well, luckily, Aura took care of me. I was in good shape. I was good to go. They had all my information secured and protected, so no one had to worry about what was going to go forward. Since I had Aura, they had me covered. So sign up for Aura now. 14-day free trial, aura.com/chatsports. You'll be good to go there. All right, so a couple more candidates for you. Justin Coleman, another guy that has not been with the Seahawks very long, but nonetheless is cut here. And here's why Justin Coleman ultimately gets pushed to the wayside here. Signed a one-year contract with the Seahawks back on March 23rd. This is his third stint with Seattle. He's been there before. Previously played for Miami, Detroit, New England, and Minnesota in addition to the Seahawks. But the Seahawks found some diamonds in the rut of sorts, okay? When you drafted Kobe Bryant in the 4th round, there was a lot of excitement, rightfully so. But now everything we've heard about Kobe Bryant as well as Tariq Woolen, those guys typically, from where they were drafted, you would hope would be competing for the back ends of an active roster. But now the discussion has ramped up that those guys are going to be competing for starting roles. And so with that, there just might not be a spot for Justin Coleman. Here is what Henderson had to say. It's the most wide-open position group on Seattle's defense, and with no one entrenched in either of the two starting spots, Jones has the edge for one of them, given his experience and the fact that he's healthy, unlike Brown, who's coming off knee surgery. Seahawks coaches have raved about Bryant's smarts and ball skills. Seattle brought back Justin Coleman to compete with Blair and Amadi at the nickelback. So there you have it. Coleman just finds himself as the odd man out here. A good problem, essentially, to have, although the Seahawks necessarily don't have an elite starting 1 or 2 corner. They are finding themselves with some depth that they didn't have previously based on the moves they had in the draft. Name a player the Seahawks should cut. Give me one name that comes to mind for this Seahawks team of somebody they should move on from. Let me know in the comment section below. So here are the cornerbacks that we have, according to ESPN, surviving, making that final roster: Sidney Jones, Kobe Bryant, Trey Brown, Tariq Woolen, and Artie Burns. Our final surprise cut candidate is Jacob Eason. And look, you're only going to have 2 quarterbacks on the roster more than likely. So somebody's got to go. But I think it's the fact of the extent that the Seahawks went to bring in Jacob Eason last year. He was claimed off waivers on October 20th, although he did not appear in a single game for the Seahawks in 2021, and he previously played for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, the thing with Eason here is that his time in Seattle would not be very long, and it didn't seem like too long ago we mentioned Jacob Eason competing for this starting quarterback job. Now, Granted, it was always going to be Geno Smith and Drew Lock 1-2, but there was still an idea that Jacob Eason could at least compete with those guys. That's what we were told. But the fact that they would be moving on from him so quickly here is what, to me, shows just how long of a process this necessarily was. So in this instance, Geno Smith and Drew Lock make the roster. Jacob Eason gets cut. Wouldn't be surprised, though, if he was still a practice squad quarterback of some sorts for the Seahawks there. Do the Seahawks need to add another quarterback? We've talked a lot about the quarterback rumors around here the last couple of weeks, especially those involving Baker Mayfield. Should they add somebody on top of what they already have to the quarterback room? Let me know. Our true or false statement today, the Seahawks need to add another quarterback. Is that true or is that a lie? Let me know. T for true, F for false. All right, so another thing that I want to point to on this quarterback situation, here's more from Henderson. Some inside the Virginia Mason Athletic Center believe Lock's talent will win out, but Smith is still in the pole position. That means first. Having taken the first-team reps during OTAs and minicamp, Carroll will weigh preseason games heavily when determining the winner, as he did 10 years ago when Wilson beat out Matt Flynn. The Seahawks have typically carried only 2 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster, but they might keep a third now that they no longer have a starter as durable as Wilson was for most of the past decade. Jacob Eason is currently the number 3. So there you have it on that front in regards to the quarterback situation. So before we go, real quick, let's go over the surprise cut candidates one more time for this Seahawks team. Chris Carson, Marquise Goodwin, Justin Coleman, and Jacob Eason are the 4 names that we have as the surprise cut candidates there for the Seahawks of them moving on. Some big names, certainly, with Carson and Goodwin in particular there. Now, looking at this, I think the biggest surprise of all might be the fact that L.J. Collier remains with the Seahawks. We have talked for a long time. Maybe one of the biggest rumors out there has been about L.J. Collier's future, whether he'll be cut or traded. But people have acted like it's a foregone conclusion that L.J. Collier's not going to be back. But in this case, Henderson says he'll be back, and here's why. This is from Henderson's article. You usually don't think of a former first-round picks as surprise standouts, but Collier qualifies given the underwhelming start he had to his career. Seahawks defensive coordinator Clint Hurt said during OTAs that Collier, the 29th overall pick in 2019, was having one of the best springs of any Seattle defender. Collier will be fighting for playing time in a defensive line rotation that's a little crowded after the offseason acquisitions of Shelby Harris and Quentin Jefferson. So, how about that? L.J. Collier still in a Seahawks uniform when it's all said and done. Before we go, let's get the confidence meter out. L.J. Collier will be with the Seahawks week 1 when the season begins. What's your confidence level on that? Type 1 through 100. Put a number on it and let me know in the comment section below if you think L.J. Collier is going to be with the Seahawks when the season begins.